breaking for?
No, not yet.
I'm sorry?
Not yet. For
Not,
lunch?
okay.
No, not yet. We have
Not yet.
two
Okay, we
items
have
we're gonna do.
an applicant is, okay. I'll be back in a second.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to jump ahead to item number 14. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan. It's docket number 153560, block 857, lot 7. It's 3-7 East 27th Street, located within the Madison Square North Historic District. This is a Beaux-Arts-style hotel building designed by Willem H. Berkmeyer and built in 1903-05. The application is to modify window openings and install rooftop mechanical equipment.
Good morning, Carousel Landmark staff. 3 through 7 East 27th Street is located on the north side of the street with Fifth Avenue to the west and Madison Avenue to the east. The application is to install mechanical equipment at the top of the existing rooftop addition, as well as a metal screen enclosure, and modify the window openings that would be visible from the west along East 27th Street. But the project team is here to present the application.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Mary Diericks, and I am the preservation consultant for this project. And with me is the architect, Matt Markowitz, and representative of the owner, Lisa Costa. This was originally the Brastel, built in 1903 to 1905, and this is the last component of a restoration. So in the next slide, which you're not going to have, I'm going to show you what it looks like today, which is with 1960s lights and painted masonry. And the restoration is going to bring back, undo the paint, bring back a marquee, and add cornice to the roof. We did that all at staff level. So now we're coming in today to talk about adding mechanical equipment to an existing later sheet metal penthouse. And Matt Markowitz will talk about exactly what we're going to do. This is going to be visible.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you? Matt Markowitz, the architect for the project. And this is the current penthouse that sits on top of the building. They're modernizing the entire building. It's went through an extensive restoration and upgrade internally and externally. And this is the last component of this project, which needs AC equipment. Originally there was window units. The other option we could put an enormous cooling tower, which is totally visible. The building directly to the west is only 2.5 stories, and the entire facade along the west side of this building is visible from Fifth Avenue and further west. So we're proposing to put the equipment and screen it with a wall, a lightweight metal panel similar to the existing metal panel penthouse, so it would match the bronze color, and screen all the equipment so it would not be visible from the west. And this is the panel wall that we're proposing. And this is essentially what it is. It's a lightweight structure. It's going to be engineered, and the equipment are installed on little dunnage units and essentially is needed, and that's the color of the screen wall that's proposed.
Okay. There's, what Matt hasn't mentioned is there is a lot of stuff on the roof already. And you can see there is a big cooling tower. There's a cooling tower, and there's a elevator bulkhead, as well as the sheet metal penthouse. What Matt went to was the you can see it from the west because of the low building, and that is what it looks like in montage. And we're showing you a close-up. It's effectively, the equipment is effectively screened by there's the mock-up. And it's going to look a lot like that because the screen is going to kind of look like the mock-up. And it's going to look like, well, just like what you see. This is the only view, that view from the west heading down the street is the only time you can see this, which is, of course, a secondary facade. I think that's really everything I have to say. So go back to this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
so the photograph that's in your far right, that's the existing condition?
No, that's the proposed, what,
Yeah, that.
with the
That's
screen
the
wall
existing.
added
So
to it. It's
that's
part of a
the,
rendering.
So that's
you can almost see, so that's the penthouse and that's the screen, which is set back a little bit, the
Right.
screen.
The reason why I asked that question is because in the other photograph to amongst the four, the top right, it's not seamless, it sort of sticks up, so why is there, what's the difference between that close-up and?
Well, that's a mock-up of what the equipment would have looked like.
Okay,
and
so that's just the,
Yeah.
that's just the equipment, but not the
Yes,
screen?
correct.
Got it, okay.
Can you on the photos that, not the close-up, but what you would actually see, indicate sort of the line of where you would see what and what it is?
Well, as you can see, first of all, we can see it from Fifth and heading all the way to Broadway, so some are pretty far away.
Right.
So what we're looking at, like number 3, is just down Fifth. And so this is, I can hardly see it myself, but it's right in here. That's the view from Fifth and 27th. It would be that there.
Okay.
And from number 4 is all the way down, a block away, and that's it, down there.
Okay. Thank you.
There's the number 1, this is the view from the corner.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So is the wall all the way around, or is it just on this side?
It's just on that side, and it's not to the front, it's set back from the front. So that's why we're showing you the close-ups here
Yeah.
and here.
Yeah, I understand.
There's a parapet beyond that.
Fred?
I want to ask a more hypothetical question. Often, Missy, you alluded to it, or maybe Matt, you did. Often we're confronted with having to accept, the elephant up on the roof with a huge cooling tower. Could you just give us a little primer in how you avoided that with, I guess, a split system for every apartment? And why can't we, I'm asking this on behalf of the whole commission, why can't we see more of these rather than the cooling tower elephants that we
A lot
have
of it has
to?
to do with the cost. The cooling tower is a little bit more cost-effective in that it's one system that supplies for the entire building. This is proposed split-system units that serve almost individual floors at a time. If a unit goes out, it doesn't affect the entire building. It's less visible, so that was also taken into consideration. And the lower floors have units set back on the second story, which serve the ground floor, which is a proposed restaurant, other public spaces. So this was limited for the upper floors, so it was a simple way, an effective way to cool and heat without putting in a monster cooling tower on top.
But you had space on the second floor to take care of the lower floors, so.
But you did say that this is...
Cost-effective, life cycle cost-effective, or upfront cost-effective?
It's more effective from a maintenance perspective. They're smaller units. So the actual cost of running all the piping, running all the individual air handlers in the building itself, and the actual cost of these units is about the same. But it's easier to maintain, and it's also less visible. So it was something that was...
So in other words, we wouldn't be wrong, I'm asking you to help the commission here. We wouldn't be wrong necessarily in the future when confronted with the elephant, as I call it.
There's a limit to the capability of these, unfortunately, because this is on an existing 12, 14-story building.
Yeah.
High-rise buildings. other
I
buildings
understand
have a
that,
limit to
right.
the flow of these and how these are piped. So I'm not an engineering expert on this, but based on my knowledge of what they were doing.
Okay.
For the tutorial.
Encouraging.
Thank you.
Matt, could you also talk about the windows, which were the other component of this?
The existing penthouse had several windows that were deteriorated. We replaced windows throughout the building to match the historic profile and coloring. What's proposed in the penthouse are several rooms, and we minimize the number of windows. So we're replacing several windows, about 8 per floor, with 6 or 5 per floor on that side. It is visible. It's minimally visible with that.
It's also non-historic. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
What's on top of that penthouse, are those,
There's
That's
an
the
existing,
elevator.
no, the smaller things, the 4,
these are the units. These are the AC units.
those are units?
Right. But we're
Those are the ones that are
proposing a
being
screen
screened.
wall that Massey Space.
Thanks. Are there speakers on this item? Any speakers? Okay. We received Community Board 5's recommendation, which is to approve this application. Okay, if there are no other questions.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
You just showed one of the slides, but is this, and I realize you did the facade issues with staff. I just had a question. Those horn sculptural things that used to live on this building, when were those actually designed, by whom, do we know?
We do, I know it was the 60s, and I can't tell you who. It wasn't somebody I'd heard of, but you may
60s.
have.
The fiberglass lanterns, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where'd they go?
Some of them were falling off. They
Right.
were not really, actually, they lasted a long time, but they were in incredibly poor condition. They are not being saved. Yeah.
but you think they were 60s, not 80s? I think they were later.
Likely from the 80s.
80s, yeah, they were not 60s, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for the applicant?
No hard.
Okay, we can close the hearing. Comments? I like it too.
Yeah, it's a good proposal.
I think that the scale of this rooftop changes is very consistent with what there is right now, and I think they've artfully screened it off, and they're using a system that actually works well.
And it's so modest, there's not much to screen.
There's nothing much to screen.
As opposed to,
Okay, good. So, Fred, this is yours.
oh, it's mine. Okay, this is number 14, is that right? Yeah, okay. In the matter of 3-7 East 27th Street in the Madison Square North Historic District, Block 857, Lot 7. This is an application to modify window openings and install rooftop mechanical equipment. I'll note that the building style, scale, materials, and details are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the historic district. And I will recommend approval, noting that the installation of mechanical equipment and the related screen will not result in any damage to or demolition of significant architectural features of the building, that the dark painted metal screen will allow the mechanical equipment to blend with the roofscape and reduce visibility of existing bulkheads and mechanical units, that the mechanical equipment and screen will only be visible over a secondary facade and in keeping with typical rooftop accretions found within the district, that the proposed window modifications will regularize the fenestration pattern at the existing rooftop addition and will be minimally visible over the secondary facade, and that the work will not detract from the special architectural and historic character of the building or the historic district.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The application's been approved.
Thank you very much.